everybody. My name is Jessica Holyfield, and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at Udadong Udadong by EXO. We have Chinese and Korean versions to look at, and they're different cinematic versions too, which is super dope. We also have a dance practice to look through and hopefully be able to glean and just talk through the analytics of the choreo. I have seen this choreography not just back in the heyday, I've learned part of this choreography as well. Not only that, whenever ATEEZ covered Udadong, I also took a courtesy watch of this one just so I can get a better comparison whenever I analyze ATEEZ doing it. So without further ado, let's enjoy and let's check it out. The fabric kills me. The fact you hear it. I feel they add that in. Udadong, 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 udadong. 저절도 몰라. What is with Suho's fit? Bless it. Oh! 않으면 저절도 몰라. EXO. Hey, no. I used to think that was the coolest thing ever. I mean, it's still cool, but man, I remember when they did that, I'd be like, oh my god! Luhan cued. Circle, yes. Into the hat we go. Okay, we got a second version right here. Sexy. Look at who's in this group. It's like I think it's not all the same people. So they have to learn two different like completely different schemas of formation structures. Golly, a logistic nightmare, I'm telling you. Lei popped off on that. Yeah, so this one's more, I mean, it's not quite itemized, the A and the M and the K, but because you got Luhan in that group too. You know what I mean? No, it's Tao. Dio's got a lot of parts in this, considering you have someone like Luhan who should have taken one of those parts, or at least kept his part. That's so interesting. The things that we're learning as we look at the line distribution between the two versions. They go and they finish. I'm finding this so fascinating, right? Where with okay, if you don't know, SM does not really, especially during this time, they did not treat their Chinese artists very well at all. And if you notice here, the math's just not mathing to me personally, knowing that you have Chinese members, Chris, Tao, Lei, and Luhan. Out of your 4 out of your 6 EXO members are like they speak Chinese. So why did Lei not get more sections out of that, right? Like Tao taking Chanyeol's section makes sense, but why did Dio take Luhan's section? If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Because Dio kept his part, right? But I don't know. Like, here's the thing: I love Dio. I love his vocals, but his line distribution did not make sense for the Chinese version, especially knowing that you have a vocalist like Luhan that should have taken some of that, if that makes sense. Anyway, dance practice time. We're here. It's so quiet. Yeah. Okay. I'll wait. Tao's got all the ad-libs. Oodadong, 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 oodadong. Yeah. And Chris also has Tao's part. Baby, ah. That room is so small. Lay so far got no lines. And Chris has 2 ad-libs. Chanyeol's got little ad-libs here. Chris has Tao's part. Georgia Mola, boom boom. Sehun. Chanyeol's part. Yo da. So Sehun's the more performer feature there. This is Kai's part. The only thing Leia said is that right there. Whoa. Why did Luhan not keep this part in the Chinese version? I know it's to have him as a part of this trio. And then having Lei as your performance feature for this part, cool. And Kai to finish it out. Okay, so like you said come on it. Oh, me to you? Okay, got it. See, that was cute. But okay, so like the EXO-K line distribution makes sense in this format because you have your EXO-K members, they take more of that priority and a lot of like the main vocal structures, which makes sense because it's Korean, but that didn't feel that way at all in the EXO-M version. Now, am I projecting? I just know what I know of. It wouldn't surprise me if line distribution, what they should have done to make it more like I'm thinking from a logistic standpoint, it would have been easier on everybody if you had a mirrored, like if EXO-K and EXO-M are simulated with each other, where you have like X amount of lead vocalists, X amount of lead dancers and stuff. Well, before I continue, let me hold on. Okay. We're pulling back to like when I was a fan back in the day. I had felt this way, but now knowing more, I can articulate my perspective more effectively now. Here's my hot take. So those of you who are fans of EXO, please let me know your thoughts too. How I always took it was EXO-K and EXO-M are direct reflections of each other. And so each person's role has a EXO-M equivalence, right? Because it's the same number of people, same amount of roles. And they're performing to the same song. So logistically, it would make the most sense if the line distribution on EXO-K would have a direct mirror onto EXO-M. So here's who my personal mirrors of who I think would be the equivalents to what. With Kai with EXO-K, I thought it would be Lei with EXO-M for dance, Luhan and Dio, Suho and Schumann, Chanyeol and Chris, Baekhyun and Chen, and Tao and Sehun. So that's kind of like, anytime Sehun says something, I expect in the EXO-M Tao to say that, right? Or if Dio has a vocal section, Luhan takes that vocal section. Because that makes the most sense in my head. If you want to make it equal in representation, you don't want EXO-K to overtake EXO-M on an EXO-M promotion and vice versa, then do that and reflect that. But in this case, I really don't think that's what happened. because I know you guys felt it too, like the same people that didn't get a lot of lines continue to not get a lot of lines in their own promoted language track. And that's what I found to be very interesting. But we're here to talk more so about the dancing, but that's like my low-key, super hot take about how the structure of EXO I think should have gone. And that could be a reason as to why it didn't work and it fizzled out over the years, and for various different reasons, especially because the Chinese members left, and they're not the first group that had Chinese members where the Chinese members left. You know, I think Super Junior I think experienced it too, right? Yeah. Anyway, but we're going to look at the, trying to think what version is going to be best. I think for this one, it's just going to be easier. Let's just do the dance practice, just so you can, they're in their own comfortable clothes, whatever, this, that, and the other. So you have Tal right here. Okay, he goes, okay, they hit it. Sexy. Now this part, I do remember, the person who says the sexy part is Suho, even though he's not here. He's the one who did the ad-lib. How did I know that? Told you, I was a fan back in the day, so I watched all their variety content, and that was like a fun little trivia question that I just remembered over the years. Now, they set it up, they go, sexy. So notice they bring it up to their mouth, feels very much like a whisper, or, you know, keep it very reserved along those lines, a lot of that. In that case, they take it, notice whenever they bring that arm down, they let the head rotate to still make this arm a focal point through the transition. They take those arms up, they double it up like we're adjusting a tie, then we snap it to create, to allow the snap to influence the rest of the torso by where the snap finishes with the arm that initiated it. There's your little heel toe. Oh, stop it with my mouse. Stop double timing. Here's your, yeah, so they go heel toe, and they add a little just nice snap in that. Now, there's not really a lot of groove in this at all. Body is still pretty stiff in a lot of these choices. It reminds me of, you know, their other work. Nothing crazy, nothing new. They snap, boom, da-dun, dun. They look over. Kajima, and then they go nice with the heel toe heel, or the step backs are super fine. Now, the formations too, find it interesting that you have some people that are in the same spots for both groupings, but they're not, it's just, I feel like we made the wrong choices on what to adjust, what to mirror, and what not to. Like, if you wanted to save, I still feel this way, if you want to save a lot of time, I really feel like on the choreographic front, I would have advocated for this, but also knowing that the line distribution wasn't that cookie cutter mirrored format that I really think could have worked. The formations it really made the choreographer's job a lot harder, because you are setting up two different formation structures with different features. That's why, to me, I think it's harder to find your features in this choreo, because we can't allocate a lot of time to that type of exploration, because they are too busy trying to remember where they go, depending on if you're promoting EXO-K or EXO-M. That's just a lot of grunt work for not the best. It's not a result thing, but it's just, I feel like there could have been a better way to do this for them. So they take it out, they hit it through, the subtlety here with the shoulders, dumb choice, totally fine. Then we double it up, boom, da-doom, and then ba-ba-da-na-na-na, right there, riding on the tail end of that. You go through, boom, boom. Notice this, once again, a nice little speed change happening with the arm, similar to a lot of the snap choices. Then we hit it through, boom, boom, and da. So he goes and he expands it over. I think Chen feels nice knowing that he gets to sing in Korean. Yay for him. But they go and they nice little toe taps, or just toe steps out of that. They hit it, nice snaking coming out of that, then you hit it through, boom, da-da-da-doom. Notice that we're using more of our arm versus our back, so that's why it kind of feels very isolated in the power. There's not a lot of projection on it. They come up, he goes, so that was fun, nice little moment with Kai to interact with Baekhyun. You have Schumann in the center, boom, do-do-doom. Now I'm assuming this is Baekhyun's section because he's pointing and no one else is, and they're moving and rotating that arm front, and then you have the shoulder that's projecting as well, and they hit it through, boom, da-da-da-da. And a nice little dig with the pelvic, or just with the pelvis. They go and they rotate through. So there's just a lot of these arms that are rotating, not counterbalancing, but the rotation in and of itself are going to and fro, opposition of the body, and that's what makes a lot of these choices subtly fixed pointed as well. It's cool. Like, it's not bad at all, and that's like, once again, like the least groovy shamrock you could possibly do is that right there. Then they double it up, boom, boom, boom. Nice from Schumann, click, click. Good, cool choice. Then there's a little two-step for me. This feels like we're, it's not, I wouldn't go full Soul Train, not at all, but I'm saying like they definitely have, it feels like, what is it, R&B group singing on the mic, and we living it up in our two-step. It kind of feels like that, you know? So they take it over from one side to the other. Notice the arms are building more, they're not really following an ambidextrous approach where you do the same thing on one side versus the other, and they're building up into their snaps, and they take it and they do a nice little step. It did feel like we were supposed to have some legato in the torso. It did feel a bit restricted in that. But Schumann did a good job on the fullness of that first hip, da-doom, and I don't know if we're going on dun 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 or if we're going da-doom, you know. Da ba da 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 da, but Schumann went on the da-doom. Yeah, so there's little subtleties there that, of course, I would want to clean. But he takes it through, he drops it, they put their hands, he put a hand on the hat, puts it on, they drop the level, make it easier for Schumann to be noticed. 2, 3, that was a very nice, clean, doom, 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 with just the pose. To the back, we're here for it. This choreo, boom, doom, da, 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 da. This reminds me of Wolf. Gosh, man. Ooh, hold on, did Tony Tesla choreograph this? It wouldn't surprise me at all. Nick Bass, which is in the same vein, let's just call it what it is. And I remember the realizations I feel about, I mean, when I talk about Anjay with ATEEZ's choreo back in the day, to Nick Bass's choreo, to all that, they're all just kind of, they're within that same American choreography niche, with like the Justin Timberlake style, Chris Brown, that kind of stuff. So I've already said my total perspective on that. This doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't have enough weird choices to go full Tony, which is why I didn't think so. But because of this move right here is what made me think, did Tony do this? But this is giving very, like, it does give that Nick Bass coded vibe for sure. And yes, I have fun little fact here with Nick Bass. He choreographs for a studio that competes on a similar circuit that one of the studios I work for also competes on. So my choreo a lot of times has to compete against his choreo, and it just depends on the season of who takes it. But that's just a fun little interesting niche. He's still working, but he also is in the studio scene right in my neck of the woods. So there's a lot of this type of style that I do end up seeing on stage because he choreographs it, or people that learn from him, or, you know, things like that, you end up seeing it. So I digress, but it is cool to kind of talk about that, knowing that he had a hand in this. That's fun. So they go and they wind it up, and then they press those arms down. They do a nice switch of the knees. So what they have to do is one knee is established, the other one kind of cuts underneath it in order to create this fun rotation where it's kind of like a pendulum. So that's kind of how you need to approach the knees and around, and you have to be on your weight where that knee is. So in order for it to kind of shoot out from underneath, you're replacing your weights. You want to keep it nice and consistent. You don't want it to be too weighty on the knees either, so that switch out can happen seamlessly. So most of your weight's probably going to cater more towards your arms, just based on whenever I physically do the move, you're sharing the burden of the weight on both sides. Hitting through, great, nice, easy way to do your transition. Little head nod, boom, boom, do-do-do. Then we do a little Dougie. Hit it back, boom, with the snap, and then we take it up, da-da-da-da-da, down, and then we present the arms out, and then we hit once again. Oodadong, we take it, present it forward, hitting it out, side to side, hit, boom. Yep, so it goes out, and then we bring it in, we punch it up, and then we rotate it around. So there's a lot of these types of rotations, reversals, things like that make it feel more interesting. And I still feel that way, it's cool. Now, oodadong. And knowing Nick Bass choreographed it, it makes sense why they're hitting it the way that they are. I personally think that we could totally, with this is called a toss it up. You could also call it an upstairs, downstairs, more of that old school hip hop. Nick Bass, I'm just saying this right now, Nick Bass is not a hip hop choreographer. Most of the people I reference are not hip hop choreographers. Hip hop is the style in question, right? So these movement progressions, yes, there's hip hop choices in it, but there's no groove. If you don't have groove when you're doing hip hop, it's not hip hop. Does that make sense? It's just movement. So that's also been another big thing for me that I've always struggled with Nick Bass's choreo and Anjay's choreo. Like, there can have like a heavy funk presence, but that's more West Coast. That's not hip hop, right? So you have more funk. Now hip hop does have its own sound. You have gangster rap, right? And that's a completely different topic. That's not this. This caters more towards that R&B funk vibe. So locking would be a closer relative to what would be happening here in comparison to hip hop, even though there's some overlap that what we're referencing, right? The toss it up, upstairs, downstairs. So I'm wanting to be very clear. That's one reason why for me, I have struggled to appreciate choreographers of that vein in this vibe when it comes to connection to the music, because it feels like movement onto the essence of the music, but not really, we're not going deeper than that, because it tailors over into the choreography scene, and I feel that way about the choreography choreo too. But I'm always somebody who's wanting to grow and learn in that area, and I like learning that about myself to understand my values and my priorities of what I look for and how I choreograph is different than other people's workloads, and both can exist in the same space. There's beauty in having these styles of choreo, as well as having choreos that are 1000% super abstract and you can't quite understand it 100%. Like, both can exist in the same space. And I'm telling you that as somebody who, Nick Bass is not my favorite choreographer in the world, but he's definitely better on my list compared to other people. That's for sure, you know, but I can appreciate what he did here, especially during the time period of what it was. You don't have a lot of these artistic expressions in choreo like you do in today's society. I really think the pandemic expedited a lot of this, right? So now, how would this fare in 2024? I couldn't tell you. It would probably, I would say that there would probably need to be more groove in it, but I digress. My whole point being, I like the fact that this exists in the time period in which it does and who did it is kind of my point. He goes and he drops and basket runs out, and then you have, I like the subtlety, boom, to-doom. This part, super nice, very suave, really great tone setter into the next chorus, or in the verse, it takes the hat away. So there's a lot of this type of play going on. We're passing off the hats between, you have Baekhyun over Schumann's with EXO-M. He takes the hat, and then you see Dio having the hat, and then Chris taking the hat. So I think maybe the placement of who's taking it is from the different groups, but these are all, you know, I mean, maybe if you're looking here, your mirrors are your EXO-M members here, and then you have Dio, EXO-K, KK, and M. So maybe they like ended up switching them out in this way, but still made it feel more abstract. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Then you have right here, boom, the nice little rock. They sit in it, and they pick it right back up. They end up doing it about twice, and then we pass off the hat as well. We do a little, little rock, and boom, boom, and they double it from side to side. And then we do a nice little hopping trot as we move over. And then right here, it does feel, it's not really a cipher, but it's definitely a, hey, let's let Suho do his thing. You know, it kind of gives that type of, there is a rock and a switch of the weight happening here. So we'll give them that. And they double it up. Boom, da-doom. I like that choice too. Very nice. Then they take it. Boom, nice little arms. I mean, to me, whatever. Like, it's arms. You probably do whatever arms and it'd feel the same way. But the trot is more so the pick up of the feet for that. The throw through, I do like the one take format that they did for the music video. Now, was it 100% one take? I don't think so. I think going into Chanyeol's section in the EXO-K version, that was very much not a one take, but I think it's super cool though. The throwaway, and then there's the subtlety here, very nice, using more like a rooftop with the legs and taking the arms, making it nice and subtle. But that's more of a step out, so they just step and then they drop it with a hinge over. It's not really like more of like a drag, nothing really along those lines. They do a nice little shoulder accent, they step through, little step touches, totally fine. They trace the nice with some tension. And then you have Dio say bye-bye over here to stage left, or whatever our stage left is for this shoot. And they go and they peel it back similar to Sehun setup before the first chorus. So you have all the same choreo. Everyone holds it down pretty well. So the big thing in this is, do all of the members execute the same choreo when you see them all do it effectively or around the same general vicinity? Yes. I personally really like Lay doing this course compared to most people, but you see him over into the corner, but then you see him closer to the center on this part. But you see him in the first course, which is really nice. Yeah, all this here, I really like how Lay does this. So he's my MVP of a mover for this choreo. Yeah, boom, little accent on the tail end of that. Very nice. He adds these conversational accents to it versus just stationary basic dynamics. I think that's another thing too. In choreography, or whenever you do choreo, I'm not talking about recent choreographies. I'm talking about the ones back in the day, the Britney Spears, the NSYNC, and also into this realm of like the later 2000s. And now, like calling it what it is. This feels a smidgen dated. Like this style of choreography feels that way. That's just me being very real. I said that about Shiny. I will stand by it. I'm not going to die on the hill, but it's going to take a lot for me to change my mind on it. And that's fine. The beauty of different perspectives. But my point being, something that is one thing that I have noticed is that you have to do what is going to work for the big picture. And sometimes clean lines and clean dynamics are going to trump texture. Sometimes textures are not what you need for that routine for the sake of having a clean show and a clean picture to present to your audience. Because a lot of times your audience is not going to understand your texture individual choices. They're going to look and say, that's not clean. And then you're going to be viewed a certain way based on the general public's lack of layman awareness of what they're looking for. So I understand there's a lot of back-end stuff, and there's a lot of decision making that comes from people that low-key have no business making those types of choices, or saying, hey, we're not going to do that because of XYZ, but their reasoning doesn't really make sense, but you have to submit because it's your job and they're your boss. Does that make sense? You're going to get that everywhere, but in the tour scene, I bet you that's a thing for sure. But anyway, all this here, I like how Lay does it, I think is my point, because he makes it have some breath behind it. It makes it feel conversational. It makes it feel like you're talking to me. It's not like I'm watching you dance. It goes oodadong, oodadong, oodadong. Like it feels like we're feeling ourselves, and I wanna feel it with you. I think is kind of my underlying point on that. Yeah, I noticed a little accent on the tail end of it. He's adding these really nice accents. Oh, it's nice. Boom, boom, and how he hits this is really nice too. He hits it, boom, boom, over, through, boom. Nice accent coming out of that too. Good job on the transition for that too. Adimyan to Jordan Mula. Oh, look at that. So technically, this is a one take right here. EXO. Ooh, hold on. We got to verify right here. It's a true one take, it looks like, yeah? It is. That's like a one take is what we see here until the very, very end. My apologies, everyone. I can't believe I just glistened or gleaned over that when I've seen it before. Bless it. Anyway, yeah, so all this, having the levels, having Chanyeol ride and do his thing. I like how he's going from side to side, making sure he stays connected with the rest of the group as we're riding this out. Then we're hitting it through. Da 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 da. Yep, da-doon, da-doon. And this part is really cool. I still like it. They hit it through. They're in a tabletop with one arm. Then they use the body. They hit it up. So they have to make sure that they have their core engaged. So whenever they hit it, they can hold it up to some extent. And they have to use the leverage of this arm to push up into it. And then they revert back to where they were at. But they drop into like a Z-sit, low-key, with their arms a little bit low, with their bodies closer to the floor. I like that choice. Then from there, I think, do they end up threading? Maybe they do. No, they go into a Z-sit, and then they just step into more of this propped up position. I like the alpha kick coming from Sehun there. Alpha kick derives from locking. So it's not hip hop. They're right there. Boom, boom. That kind of feels, honestly, if you just switched up the position, you're looking at a locking double lock, right? But that's not what they were doing. That's just two bounces in place. It is what it is. This right here, they're taking the arms and doing a little two-step, progressing it over to their stage right. I like Kai's pop-off moment there. That was really fun. And this part does feel like we're doing a little bit of a sugar, maybe a little walk it out action. We're here for it. Love those arms projecting up. Then you have Chris having his little moment there. Then you have Lay. Da da da, and I love that we take it up close to the lights. I'm shocked it didn't nail one of those lights just then. That was nice where he takes it and moves it through. Now is it just Kai who moves his head or is it everybody? It does look like everybody on that side rotated, but I could be wrong. But then they go, move backwards. So that was a cool little format that just happened there. Whoa. Yeah, this is just having them go from, it's not just everybody facing front. I really like, so shout out to Nick for this. I like the format of we have different angles getting the one take. Like it's not all in the front, we just switch people out. It's we go and we have one person be featured and then we take it and turn and then we have a completely different setup going on in the back and then they progress it and then it causes us to have to rotate to get everybody in the shot in the formation. I really like that. That's cool. That's cool. That kind of stuff don't get old. Like that, I just love the effort in that. Now everybody's going at the same time. My note was more so on EXO or whoever cleaned it of just, it's not, I think there were certain sections where it wasn't super defined on the exact formation, but I'm going to say this right now too, your camera angle can really influence that. Sometimes if you're looking from a straight shot, your visual or your formation is going to look very clean and clear. But the moment that you move, someone's going to get covered up. Your spacing's going to look off because the visual is supposed to be viewed at a particular angle. But whenever you're traveling it is harder to keep your lines clean. And your spacing in check. Like, I totally get that. It's really hard. But I would say near the tail end of this in the one take looked really, really nice. So they hit it through. That was nice. And now you saw, I think it was Baekhyun. Baekhyun did the little brush away. So I think there's a chance that the camera guys just kind of left to their own devices on this and they're just looking and clocking them. Yeah, that was a nice little moment there. So they're all doing the same thing, of course. Some of them have a more reserved movement quality about it. Some have a more full out. I think it may tailor towards their roles, too. Some of them are more dominant in the dance niche, and some are not, and that's fine. I like the little swimming. That little part I always found to be fun. Hitting it through. I like Lay's feature moment here. It looks great. Oodadong, ooda, hit, boom, 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 oodadong, 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 and then we go to the outside. Notice, why is this not a true circle? I'll tell you, because where can they go? There's a mirror right here. So this, we're just going to assume and project that they're doing this to the same degree of fullness that these guys are. They did it in the performance version, which is no issues. And then, of course, you have your feature in the center. It can't truly be properly spaced out. Why? Because they have nowhere to go. So totally get that. I think they did a great job on the commitment side. And he hit it through, boom, with the chest ISO on that. They double it, boom, boom. They go from outside and they bring it over to the inside. He says, come here. Come here. Oh, I'll go to you. Like that, like I still feel that was a really cute moment. I enjoyed it. This is so fascinating. Like I talked about, I kind of, in the earlier eras of a lot of groups, specifically SM, I kind of feel like I get reintroduced to the topic of choreography of this particular niche, like the NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Justin Timberlake style. I'm personally not, like, it's not my favorite. And the reason why it's kind of what I've talked about is it doesn't feel like we're invested in our track at all. It kind of feels like we're there to just showcase like cool suave moves for the sake of showing them, and there's not depth to it. There's like, if that kind of makes sense. But when you think about the like with Justin Timberlake, some of his choices, like it makes sense on his niche because of his tracks and what he talks about, it makes sense. But in the case of here, I don't know if it translates to me on the type of investment on the emotional side of what they're talking about. Does that relate in the movement quality? Does that kind of make sense? What I'm saying is that the concepts are similar, but they're different because the industries are different and the cultures are different. So it's hard for me as an American who sees the American choreography format of the 2000s on a 2010 K-pop group that is talking about a different niche of style and concept. I think that's kind of my disconnect, and I really felt that way when I was feeling this kind of stuff coming out of ATEEZ in 2019. Not their fault, but that's where it really started to just feel a little off for me. You know, like I can totally understand it in the 2010s, 2009 sense, but in 2019, 2020, I kind of feel like we have to beef it up or innovate it because our world and our culture as dancers and the niche of the style itself and the structure of it has also elevated. and the beauty of awareness of people appreciating the artist as well as the dancers behind the artist, I think is my viewpoint. But this is going to lead to some fantastic discussions, and I cannot wait for it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. Like I said, this is a very interesting hybrided marathon on my end because I have seen a lot of this discography I am taking a look at with this type of lens from a fan way back in the day. And so I cannot wait to just hear from fellow individuals who had watched this way back when it came out, people who are looking at it from a 2020s lens. What are your thoughts on it? You've heard mine, but I cannot wait to just continue on and especially uncover their newer stuff because I'm not as familiar with it nearly as much as I am with this. So it's gonna be it's just gonna be different, and I'm here for it. Once again, my name is Jess, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.